across the nation. We are quickly now going to be moving to our next panel, which is titled, as I said, Future of News, Federalism and Free Press.
India's mosaic of ideas and ethnicities is best catered by its federal structure. Mirroring this is the rise of regional news media, which no longer operates within its traditional sense of boundaries. The power center has diffused from the concentration and narrative building set only by the Hindi or English-speaking media. Therefore, industry estimates which show a steady growth of regional media channels comes as no surprise.
Indeed, Akshata, there are, of course, a whirlwind of challenges that still need to be addressed to keep the media free at a federal level. What are those challenges? What are the obstacles in the path to achieve this goal and these challenges? This is something we will, of course, be discussing, as I said, with our very, very experienced political guests. We have in this next session the Tamil Nadu BJP chief, Annamalai, is, of course, joining us live here. Let's welcome all of them with a loud round of applause. I will call you in just a bit to the stage. We also have chief spokesperson of the National Conference Party, Tanveer Sadiq. Tanveer Sadiq is with us as well. Welcome, Tanveer, to the show. We also have the Biju Janata Dal Member of Parliament, who is just come back from representing India in Rwanda at the IPU. Sasmit Patra with us as well. Sasmitji, welcome to the conclave of NBF. We are going to be joined also by the editor-in-chief of Prague News, Prasanto Rajguru, as the moderator for this next session. Let's quickly first, to set the tone for this session, play out an AV on the theme.
Quasi-federalism is a key feature of Indian democracy. The rise of Indian states is mirrored by the rising regional news media. Regional and local media entities are a crucial part of the industry. Federalism and free press are key ingredients of our democracy. Now on the NBF National Conclave, gear up for an unmissable discussion on the future of news, federalism and free press.
And let's welcome them with a loud round of applause. May I please invite on stage Tanveer Sadiq, Sasmit Patra, Annamalai and Prasanto Rajguru. Yeah, please. Prasantaji will just be joining you for the moderation of this session. Could we please have you on stage as well? Mr. Rajguru, the floor is yours. Over to you for this very, very interesting session titled Future of News, Federalism and Free Press.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all the guests, all the faces sitting here are very much familiar to you. You know all of them. And my face is, of course, not known to you. I'm from Assam. I look after the editorial desk of one Assamese channel, namely Prague News. We have been airing Assamese news for last 22 years. Ladies and gentlemen, this session's issue is federalism and free press. And while we are given the subject, the NBF had given us certain terms of reference. The terms of reference were very specific, mandate is very specific. We are supposed to discuss about the growth of regional media along with the growth of Hindi and English media. And NBF is very clear that the national media, quote unquote, does not exist at all. The term national media we have been using is actually meant for the Hindi and English media. There is no existence of national media as of now or as on date. Ladies and gentlemen, while discussing the federalism, all of us will appreciate that the very term federalism is a plural term. And the very idea of India is also plural. So, you cannot detach federalism from pluralism of our nation. So, while discussing the federalism, we must keep it in mind that the states were reorganized on the basis of language. And language has a very crucial role to play as far as the reorganization of states is concerned. Later on, in late 70s or after 70s, some states were carved out on the basis of ethnicity like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, etc., etc. So, the federalism, the parameters of federalism was, one, the language, the state organization, state reorganization, number one, language, and number two, ethnicity. That reflects the plural and federal character of India. Now, my first question to Mr. Annamalai, the chief of the BJP, that one slogan or one narrative is making round in the popular notion that Hindu, Hindi, Hindutva. In that narrative, where is the space for federalism, Mr. Annamalai?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me here. If there is somebody who is pitching this narrative sitting in Delhi, that India is a country of people sitting in Delhi and deciding what narrative people should speak, I don't think anybody in the South is going to agree, or I don't think even leaders, many leaders in Delhi is going to agree with that. The problem is, in this age of information consumption, if 10 guys start peddling the same lie again and again and again, that it is only going to be this kind of country, this kind of party is going to do this kind of thing in a particular state, that driven by news channels, especially in the South, run by political parties. I come from a state where there are at least 12, 13 news channels run by 5 political parties. In terms of TRPs, the highest TRPs are claimed by news channels run by political parties. They have an agenda. For example, if there is a committee of official languages recently, which is doing rounds across India, in the report when it says, instead of Hindi in a category A state, it can be, instead of English in a category A state, can be replaced by Hindi. And category C state like Tamil Nadu, English can be replaced by Tamil. Okay. This part is edited out. Only the first part is taken. And the news channels, they go to town crying that central government is trying to impose Hindi, somebody from Delhi trying to impose Hindi. Nobody said it. But the only problem is the voice is higher. The voice is much larger. Because when you, as I said, 13 channels, maybe 2-3 channels I see in the NBF board here from Tamil Nadu. That is why they have chosen to join this NBF federation. I think they are also leading channels from Tamil Nadu. That needs to stop. It is not somebody is doing it. The noise some regional news channels create, that is run by political parties to suit their agenda of divisiveness, right from 1960, the same divisiveness you keep speaking over and over. Some bureaucrat in Delhi writing some Hindi letter to somebody in Tamil Nadu, immediately announced that as the central government's policy of everybody writing Hindi to the state of Tamil Nadu. That needs to stop, sir. I don't believe in that narrative, but that narrative is being said by people who can't take on the developmental politics or people who can't take on the Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji.
Thank you, Mr. Annamalai. Same question to Mr. Sasmit Patra. So, Mr. Patra, where is the space of federalism and in that narrative? Hindu, Hindi, Hindustan.
You see, firstly, I don't know where this narrative is coming in from. But my simple, humble submission would be that when you go into states and you talk to people in the regional languages, there is a misnomer that probably media knows better is wrong. the people in the states know much better than the people sitting in Delhi. When you go for politics, and all the three of us come from political parties and you have been closely following politics, in a panchayat election, there is more politics than probably a Vidhan Sabha or Lok Sabha election. And I'll tell you the reason why. We generally assume that people in the state, when they are going into regional channels or regional identities, are not very much aware about it. They know what is happening in Delhi, what is the narrative being set from Delhi, and they will choose what they think is right for them and will reject what they do not think right. And this entire TRP business, I'm not going into that. But my sense is, I come from Odisha, I come from the Biju Janata Dal, from Mr. Naveen Patnaik ji's party, and we are a party that has been in power for 5 consecutive terms. We are 22 years and counting. And in this period of time, you've had the Congress party and you had the BJP. So you had a national narrative that was always there and will be. But despite that, why does Odisha choose a regional party? It's not because of the narrative being set by Delhi, but in terms of governance that is set by the state. So ultimately, what is the narrative is probably gets you 2 or 3% or 4% of the margins of population.
Fine.
The larger population, whether it's Tamil Nadu or Jammu Kashmir or Odisha, know very well what's right for them and they'll choose it, irrespective of whether television channels in Delhi or Bhubaneswar think otherwise. So therefore, narrative setting and narrative imposition is counterproductive to the same people who are setting that narrative, whichever media it is. Over a period of time, they may watch that media because that media seems to have entertainment value. But they will not take that media seriously when they decide on their preferences and choices in governance. That would be my 2 cents.
Thank you, thank you. Tanvir, your take, please.
Thank you very much, NBF, and all of you are here to invite us. You know, I personally believe that, you know, it is the strengthening of federal structure and the recognition of diversity of this country that somehow strengthens the country and shows the vibe, the whole strength of this country. The fact that we all, whether it is from Tamil Nadu, Odisha, you, all of us from different background, different religion, different states, come together on a stage. The only thing that binds us is a country called India. I think there is nothing else to it than a huge country like this. But you know, I come from a state of Jammu and Kashmir, and I think I have been at a total opposite of what federalism means here. I will not go into how the Article 370 was abolished or revoked.
We shall come to the question later on. Article 370.
No, I'm just telling you how we have been on the receiving end. The fact that federalism, there was a prosperous state. Because see, this country will only grow when the states will be strengthened. True. And I believe when the state of Jammu and Kashmir, when it was downgraded from a prosperous state to a UT and then divided into 2, I think that is something that the whole country should have woken up and said, this is wrong. I mean, I'll not, like I said, 370 is a part of it, but this was something that strengthened the federalism structure here. Unfortunately, the media celebrated it. And media said that this, I mean, there was not a single voice who said, look here, Jammu and Kashmir has been downgraded to a UT, that is wrong. And that also without the mandate of the people. This is something that actually hurts us. Because do you decide the states by how many seats they have? Or do you decide that if Jammu and Kashmir is a part of this country, then of course what is good for Maharashtra, UP, Tamil Nadu or any other state is as good for Jammu and Kashmir. So this is something that we have been on the receiving end, and I feel that this country can only grow if the federal structure is strengthened. If you try to weaken it and centralize the whole system, then I believe that this country will not only stop growing, there will be a lot of alienation and a lot of demands which of course the center will not listen to. So I feel Federalism is very important in this country.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, while I was given the agenda, I saw the name of Mr. Sasmit Patra, but I didn't notice his party's name. So I was of the idea that Mr. Sambit Patra is coming. So, so finally I found Mr. Sasmit Patra. Glad to see you, sir. But thing is that, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sambit Patra is from Orissa. He's a BJP leader. He's a regular happening in every television channel. You must have already seen him almost regularly. But the state from which he is coming, the issues of Orissa, once in a blue moon we used to see in the Hindi or English television. So space, the deserving space for the regional issues, it is not been given. Y.S. Sharmila has openly complained it in this platform few minutes back. So I would like to hear from Sasmit Patra. Did Orissa get the deserving space in the English or Hindi media?
Well, I'll not join the issue and say that Orissa has got or hasn't got. I'll give 2 or 3 instances that will say for itself whether we have. 2020 COVID, oxygen was in short supply. Orissa stepped up, and oxygen from many of the areas within Orissa came up because we have a large manufacturing base of steel. And the national media covered. When Hockey India was forgotten and hockey started doing very well, people started looking for where is hockey coming in from. They realized it was Orissa.
True.
So they started looking at Orissa. When disaster management is there, and they say there is visual casualty, where do they look for? They look for Orissa. So I think if the stories are compelling from different states, if the stories hold water, and if the stories hold the national imagination, the national media cannot afford to ignore. And I'll tell you the simple reason why. The national media can afford to ignore for a certain period of time, but today you have social media. So even if the national media forgets or affords to ignore, the social media will also carry those stories in parallel, and people will start looking for those stories, and the national media will automatically start getting onto track. So earlier there was a situation, we had only the newspaper, the radio, the TV, they were the only media. Because what is media? Medium. Medium was what? For communication. Today you have multiple communication platforms.
Yes.
And therefore a media, if it feels it can ignore, a state cannot, as long as, and again I say, if a state is willing to walk the talk, deliver on governance, ensure the right aspects at a national level, the entire national media will watch. They watched in oxygen supply, they watched in hockey, they watched in disaster management, and they'll keep watching.
Couple of days back, your government has regularized as many as 57,000 casual employees. Have you seen this news in English or Hindi media?
I'm not really looking forward to English and Hindi carrying me. I'm not. Why should? Because we have regularized, we are doing governance for the last 22 years, led by Honorable Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik ji. When Naveen Babu, you've asked on various platforms, and they said, sir, why can't you speak so more? He says, let my work speak for itself. Why should my words? And that's the secret source of success behind Biju Janata Dal and Naveen Patnaik. He doesn't speak, his work speaks. We talked about oxygen and hockey. Did he go to town and put up full-page newspaper ads? Have you ever seen a full-page newspaper ad nationally coming from Odisha and from Mr. Naveen Patnaik? Never. But you listen to him, you want to know what he says, and you want to know what he does. That is important.
Mr. Annamalai, your take please. Is your state, Tamil Nadu, is getting the adequate and deserving space in Hindi and English media?
I think more than the deserving space, I would say, many a times when the debate from Delhi happens, it doesn't happen with the correct narrative. When regional party in Tamil Nadu talks about the Dravidian development model, and people don't have the patience, people don't have the understanding to get into it, behind it, see it, what it is. When Tamil Nadu talks about the center being against it, when DMK keeps making that statement, of course we get a space. It is not about the space, it is about the complete non-understanding of the issue at hand, not seeing from a Tamil Nadu perspective, not debating the actual points that is in the ground. In fact, I would say, with respect to the state of Tamil Nadu, it is overrepresented many a time, not especially from the Delhi, from the media space. I don't think any other state has got the number of channels that we have. Our state is a leading pioneer which has managed to marry news to a general entertainment to a corporate. If you see a corporate belonging to a political party owns a media, and not only is it a news channel, it will be a general entertainment channel also, which will showcase a movie. Then at 8 o'clock, they'll put a news. They have taken it to a different level. They know how to hook the audience, present the news. So, the fine lines of separation is not there between corporate, between a political party, between a news. It has all merged. And from the Delhi perspective, it is all the wrong narratives that people talk from the studio here, which actually doesn't resonate with the state of Tamil Nadu. That is my 2 complaints here.
Your take, please, Mr. Tanveer Sadiq, very briefly, that did Jammu and Kashmir get adequate space or the deserving space in English and Hindi media?
Unfortunately, we've been deprived of democracy from the last 4.5 years. So whatever is happening right now is done by Raj Bhavan. So, and again, it brings again the federalism and how the news channels have been biased towards us. The fact that if you read the local newspapers, you will have only big pictures of the LG there, while as it should have been a democratically elected government. The fact that all along, and I'll not blame the present dispensation, right from Congress rule, I feel Raj Bhavan has been all along used to weaken the democracy. And especially since I come from Jammu and Kashmir and I belong to the party headed by Farooq Abdullah. So I believe when the media should have woken up and said, look here, this is wrong. It is not Raj Bhavan which should run the affairs of the state, but it should be a democratically elected government. Like I said, Congress has its track record and it's pretty bad. So is now whatever is happening right till the 2019. So I believe I know Arnab Goswami has done more than shows on Kashmir than probably all the 75 news channels have done. And he knows Kashmir very well. Unfortunately, I expected him to have a debate on democracy because I know he fights for democracy on his channel. But unfortunately, when we don't have friends here in Delhi who don't speak about democracy, you may have reasons to believe that probably my party or we don't have the same ideology as other political parties. But we are Indians. We believe in the Constitution. We believe that this country can only grow when the states are strengthened. Unfortunately, the narrative that is, I'll tell you on a different scale. A government is formed by people where the people vote for them. They give the mandate to the government to govern for 5 years. Then if they do wrong or right, it is decided after 5 years. But during those 5 years, it is the role of the media to tell the government what wrong they are doing. Because for the right reasons, they've already been elected. It is for the wrong reasons that you need to tell them, look here, this is wrong. And there where you should stop. Unfortunately, we've been, like I said, on the receiving end, not only from the media, but also from the people because of the narrative that has been caused. So unfortunately, you may claim a lot of development in Jammu and Kashmir, but it is the duty of the government there, an elected government, not the Raj Bhavan or not the non-elected people. So I feel it's been very unfair when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are already behind the schedule and I have been asked to wind up. So thank you for being with us. See you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prashantada. Thank you, Annamalai ji. Thank you, Tanveer, and thank you, Mr. Shashmit Patra. Moving on to our next panel this evening, we have a special guest joining us on video, and he's joining us live from Andhra Pradesh this evening. Now, is the news media biased in favor of the ruling dispensation? Often there's a charge level that hyper-competitive news media scenario in the country, national, regional, local, tends to be the voice of the ruling dispensation. Is it the lure of the government advertisement or pure ideological push that drives a pro-government stance? The truth of the matter is that despite a strong federal India and a strong center, the opposition voice is here to stay and will stay, and that is due to the plurality of the news media where no one voice prevails. How does one draw the roadmap with mushrooming digital media with little or no oversight? Talking to us today about this alleged bias is the head of the TDP, the Telugu Desam Party. He served as the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh from 1995 to 2004, from 2014